there? Welcome. Ever feel like you're just constantly playing catch up? Well, you're definitely not alone. But what if the secret wasn't about grinding harder, but actually working smarter? Today, we're going to dive into how to really master modern productivity, dial down the stress, and finally reclaim your time. Let's jump in. I mean, does this question just hit a little too close to home? That constant race against the clock. You end the day feeling completely exhausted. You were busy, but you look back and think, what did I actually do? It's such a common feeling. But here's the good news, it's totally solvable. See, the problem usually isn't about the number of hours we've got, but everything to do with how we're using them. So, a lot of the time, the biggest things getting in our way are these little gremlins, right? These habits we don't even think about that are just silently sucking away our energy and focus. Checking your phone here, answering an email there. Each one feels tiny, but man, they add up. Together, they just create this nonstop hum of distraction. So the very first step to getting your focus back, you gotta learn to spot these silent enemies in action. And speaking of enemies, here are the three big bosses. I love this idea of the Bermuda Triangle of time. It's so true, right? In pretty much any modern job, your time just vanishes between these three. It's kind of crazy, but some research shows that the average person can lose up to a third of their day just juggling emails, messages, and meetings. They have this magnetic pull, this false sense of urgency, but they're often the very things keeping us from the deep work, the stuff that actually matters. Okay, so how do we escape this trap? How do we fight back against those time-sucking gremlins? Now, it's tempting to think a new app or a fancy planner is the magic bullet, but the real, lasting solution, it's much deeper than that. It all starts with building a solid foundation of good, productive habits. And this isn't some new idea. We're talking over 2,000 years ago. Aristotle was onto this. He called habits second nature. Think about that. These powerful, automatic things we do that literally shape our lives. They're like the operating system running in the background. So it's simple, right? If we want different results, we've got to reprogram our own autopilot. And what's so cool is that this ancient wisdom is totally backed up by modern science. You've probably heard of bestsellers like The Power of Habit or Atomic Habits. They've shown millions of people how tiny, consistent actions can create massive results over time. The big takeaway is that with a bit of discipline and repetition, we can actually design the habits that will get us where we want to go, almost on autopilot. All right, so once we've bought into the power of habits, we need a plan, right? A blueprint to actually put them into practice. So let's look at a couple of proven frameworks that can help bring some order to the chaos and really get you focused on the stuff that creates real results. This one is a classic for a reason. It's the Eisenhower Matrix, and it is such a brilliant tool for cutting through the noise. It works like this. Urgent stuff is screaming for your attention right now. Important stuff is what actually helps you reach your long-term goals. So let's walk through it. A client crisis, that's both urgent and important. You do it now. Planning your next big project, super important, but not on fire. You plan for it. That random interruption from a coworker, it feels urgent, but it's probably not that important. Delegate it if you can. And mindlessly scrolling social media? Yeah, that's neither. Eliminate it. Getting this kind of clarity is an absolute game changer. Now, if your biggest struggle is just staying focused, you have got to try the Pomodoro technique. It's so simple. You just pick one task, set a timer for 25 minutes, and for those 25 minutes, you do nothing else. Total focus. Then, you take a quick 5-minute break. After about 4 of those cycles, you take a longer break. This rhythm is amazing because it stops you from burning out and it makes huge, scary tasks feel way more manageable. It's like a little structure that sets your focus free.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about distraction. And let's be honest, technology usually gets all the blame, right? But what if we could flip that script? What if we could turn the villain into the hero? Because when you use them intentionally, modern tools can become your most powerful allies for getting things done.
One really cool concept here is something called micro-learning. All it means is taking big, complex topics and breaking them down into tiny, bite-sized digital pieces. Think short videos, quick quizzes, that kind of thing. It's designed for our modern attention spans, right? It lets you learn new things really effectively, even on your craziest days, because it prevents your brain from getting totally overloaded. And a perfect example of microlearning in the wild, the educational podcast, it's the ultimate tool for this. You get super valuable info in these easy-to-digest chunks, and suddenly your commute, your workout, or even just doing the dishes becomes productive learning time. It's just a brilliant way to make the most of all those little moments in between. And trust me, this is not some niche little thing. Just look at this number. By 2022, the podcast audience in Mexico alone was expected to hit 34 million people. That's huge. And that massive growth points to a bigger trend happening everywhere. We're all hungry for convenient, on-the-go ways to learn and get better at what we do. So, learning on the go is awesome. But what about all that tedious work that just drains your will to live? I'm talking about one of the biggest time sinks of all, meetings, specifically taking notes and doing all the follow-up. Well, this is where AI assistants are starting to completely change the game. Let's take a quick look at a few of the big players out there. You've got something like xdoc.ai, which is a total powerhouse for big global teams, mainly because of its top-notch security and real-time translation. Super helpful. Then there's otter.ai, which is fantastic for individuals or students. It does real-time transcription that your whole team can jump into and highlight things as they're being said. And if you're in sales, you'll love fireflies.ai. It can actually join calls for you and automatically log everything in your CRM. The bottom line with all of these is that by automating this boring work, you free up your brain to focus on what actually matters, the human conversation. Okay, so we've looked at the problems, the habits, the frameworks, and the tools. So what's the big takeaway here? What's the common thread? It's really about a fundamental shift in how we approach our work, moving from just reacting to everything that comes at us to being truly intentional with our time and energy. So let's just quickly recap the roadmap. Step 1, be honest and acknowledge the things that are stealing your time. Step 2, build that solid foundation of good habits. Step 3, use a simple framework, like the Eisenhower matrix, to figure out what's actually important. And finally, step 4, use modern tools, from podcasts to AI, to give yourself superpowers. Remember, the goal here isn't to do more stuff, it's about doing more of the stuff that actually matters. Because at the end of the day, real productivity isn't some destination you arrive at. It's a choice you make every single day. It's a conscious practice. So I want to leave you with a question, a challenge, really. Thinking about everything we just talked about, what is one small thing you're going to do differently this week? Just one thing, to start taking back control.